Mary Meet Annie here. I told some of you that I would try to, when each of the holidays comes around, share with you a little bit of what I do in my ritual, because you often have questions from me about, once you're in your circle, what do you do? And we all do different things, and I thought it might be helpful if I shared with you what my plans are as each holiday is arriving. So of course, at the moment I am preparing for the holiday of Mabon. And to me, there are a couple of things that I'll be focusing on for Mabon. First, to me it is the beginning of the season of water. The year is in quarters by the elements to me. The timing of those seasons and what element is aligned to them may be different than what you're used to. What I celebrate is what they've become to me. Mabon begins the season of water to me. It will run until the day before Yule. So I celebrate water, welcome its presence and its energy and its magic back in my life, and focus on it very much in the next couple of months. I have a habit that the first holiday of each of the quarters, when a new elemental turning comes about, I rededicate the tools that I use aligned with that element. My tools are so much a part of me and have been for so many years. I'll be rededicating and rebonding myself with my chalice on my Mabon rite. Of course, I'm also honoring who the god and the goddess are at Mabon and how I relate to them, how they teach me, what they bring to the night. The third aspect of Mabon for me is the celebration of release, of giving up that which is no longer needed, wanted, or desired. I go into the turning of the dark time of the year. Imagine my life as a clean chalkboard that I have not only carefully erased, but cleaned and made pristine, waiting for what I will choose to fill it with. And the act of Mabon to me is the sacrifice of the things that you need to disconnect from, give up, move away from. Sometimes these things are easy. Sometimes it's quite challenging to make a devotion to these things, these changes in one's life. I will have spent this week journaling about those things. I will come to my ritual with a list of things that I am going to offer as a release. This is not a release in the sense of done with now, we'll pick up later. This is I'm done with this. I know why it needs to be part of my past and I will not take it forward. Some years it's a short list. It may be even easy to put together. Other years not so, because some of these decisions are very difficult decisions to make. So, the incense. I have if you search on Mabon, I think last year I shared my incense for that ritual. Tonight I'm going to be putting together my Mabon incense, and I'm focusing on a combination of the feeling of the darkness that's impending, that's joining us, that's coming to us with water. And I'm going to make an oil that will be rosemary, frankincense, bergamot, and mint. And that oil I will then combine with frankincense and rosemary to make a powdered incense. What I wanted to do this year, what I felt called to do, is I really felt called to celebrating darkness and the water that is the cool, still, glass-like, quiet pond, the reflecting surface that barely has a ripple on it. So here are some of the things that I'm going to be using in my ritual. I do a leaf burning. In bulk last year, I collected leaves from my backyard, and I've kept them very carefully inside a plastic bag until this time of the year. Now, if you're interested in doing this, of course there's no reason why you can't go out and find yourself something that's dried up and laying in the ground where you live right now. Also, you can cut out something in the shape of a leaf and it will work just fine. What I do is, I would have been journaling all week on things that need to be left behind. These things can be simple, some of them are, and they can also be something which feels like death, which feels like something that you almost have to give up in the sense of cutting yourself off from it, even mourning it a bit, but totally releasing it. And what I do is, I sit in front of the leaves that I have collected with my journal, and I go over again the things that I will release. And I anoint each leaf with a couple of drops of my Mabon oil, and I offer up the thing which that leaf represents that I am giving over, and I burn it in my cauldron. I let myself feel as the leaf burns and dissolves, the freedom of release. For these decisions are sometimes hard to come to, and I've actually made a couple of hard decisions this week about the things which need to be left behind for me this year. And it's not always easy. I let myself be as that leaf dissolves, as dry leaves will do when you go to burn them. The freedom of that thing no longer existing, and myself feeling that that thing no longer exists. Truly making an offering of what I have decided in a way to sacrifice, to give over, to leave behind. Now you can come to any way of doing that kind of working, whether you decide how you want to do it, what you want to offer up. Leaf burning works to me because I am using something which has lived with me through the year, which I preserved and taken care of, and then I make an offering of. This works for me. I do find that it's good to come to this ritual with the things you want to give over, give up, put in your past set. So taking time to journal beforehand and get to that place is very important. I don't think the ritual is a time to sit and think, oh, now what will I give up? I do think you come to this knowing it's a time of release and what you're going to give over. I then do a rededication of my chalice. Now, some of you may have a chalice you've never dedicated, or you have a new chalice and you'd like to dedicate it. And some of you may have been taking your chalice for granted and want to try this rededication. I'd like to share this a little bit more in depth with you because this is something that friends and I, oh gosh, I guess it's been about 20 years ago, did something like this. And then it's changed a little bit over the years as I've made it my own, but I like this ritual. I'm very fond of it. I feel great peace when I'm done. It moves me into the season of water very powerfully. I take my chalice and I hold it in both of my hands. And I want to take some time then to feel it and me and really feel that we are together, that we are one thing when I'm holding it. So I take some time to just be with it and feel it and know that I have a relationship with it, and remind myself what it means to me, what are the meanings I have given to it. I hold it to my heart and I permit myself to feel from the depths of my heart love and compassion, and that aspect of what water is, and feel it surrounding the chalice. And I take it to my lips. I'm not talking about the rim, but I'm actually talking about the bowl of the chalice, and I just put my lips against it and I feel warmth. The warmth. That is a symbol of the healing properties of water. My body, my lips making that warmth and my contact with the chalice. And then hold it to my third eye. And in that sense, I am holding thoughts of water as transformation, specifically spiritual transformation, and a reminder that I don't stay the same. I change and I grow, and who I am as a spiritual entity matures and shifts and is constantly moving. Water as a spiritual element reminds us of a constant change and transformation. I then offer my chalice to each of the elemental symbols on my altar, and then I actually take it to each corner and offer it up, make an offering standing and offering it to that quarter. Some time ago I found this in a book, I think. I don't think these actual words were the ones I originally used. There were other ones which to me are seeming too stuffy nowadays. I simply offer my chalice to each element in turn and say, may you be charged with the power of, for instance, air, and serve me well between the worlds and in this world. And I take it to each of the quarters and offer it up. I truly am making an offering of it. I'm aware that I am holding it up there as a connection between me and the element that it represents, and a reminder of all the powers that lie in the chalice. I then fill the chalice. I like to use apple juice. I feel all fall. I feel all autumny using apple juice. Cold water works really, really good too. Those of you who would like to use wine, that's fine too. I specifically like to use not wine, so that it is a little bit different from other times that my chalice is used. That's how I've fallen into the habit of using apple juice. I fill it, and I sit, and I hold it, and I think, as I have made an offering of that chalice to all of the elements, I also am an offering. I offer myself to the evening. I'm very aware of my power to give and receive, which is very, very much what the womb-like, cauldron-like representation of a chalice is. In a sense, I sit with my chalice and know that I am a chalice. After I've meditated on that a little bit, I have a little poem that I found a long time ago, and I use it. Again, I'm tying my chalice into what it is to me, my relationship to it, and also to the power of water in this turning of the year. And this small poem goes, "The clouds give birth and die. They tremble on beds of air, giving birth. Their trembling rocks the earth with thunder. All their life is gone, their last breath in my cup. I will drink the rain." I take a little bit more sip of my apple juice. I leave about half of the chalice full at that point. And I have a poem that I use here that I found in a book, and I've forgotten the source. I hate it when I do this. I think it was in the Farrer's book, one of the Farrer's books. And it honors She of the waters. So I have my chalice half full, and I'm holding it, and I recite, "You are she who ere the earth was formed was Rhea, Bina, and Gi. You are that soundless, boundless, bitter sea, out of whose depths life wells eternally. Astarte, Aphrodite, Ashtoreth, giver of life and bringer in of death, Hera in heaven, on earth Persephone, Anahita of the rivers and Hecate. All these you are, and they are seen in you. You are that soundless, boundless, bitter sea. All tides are yours and answer unto you. Tides of the airs, tides of the inner earth, the secret, secret tides of death and birth, tides of men's souls and dreams and destiny, Isis veiled and Rhea, Bina, Gi. You hear the invoking words and you appear, Isis unveiled and Rhea, Bina, and Gi." And I do remember, if you know this poem, that I did change one thing in it at least. I always change something as time goes by. I slipped Anahita in place of someone else, because Anahita is a personal goddess of mine. So if you know that poem, you're going, where did Anahita come from? Annie put her there. I take a couple more sips of the juice, and I say, "Lady of the streams and lakes and of water pure and sweet, I ask for your blessings, for I am your child. Bring me closer, I do ask, to the pure and free world of water. Banish guilt forever, and show me new paths of understanding. Lead me ever into your world of mystery, wonderment, and beauty." And I slowly sip the rest of my apple juice until there's just a wee bit left, which I leave in the bottom of the chalice. And I feel water coming into me through that period of my meditations, because we are water. We are so much water in our bodies. And when we drink water, it's like a blending and an understanding and a knowing of what water is. So that is my blessing of my chalice. I save that little bit that's in the bottom of that chalice, because I will take it out after my ritual and I will make an offering of it. And the last thing that I do that connects me to water and my chalice is I hold Sophia as part of my ritual. And I let her know that I'm placing my trust in her to remind me that when I hold on to something beyond its time, remember the act of burning the leaves and knowing we need to do that in our lives, I ask her to remind me of the power of that kind of release. And I be with her, who is a creature of water, for a period of meditation. So those are the workings that you will find in the middle of my ritual this week. A burning of the leaves, which is a culmination of a week's worth of journaling and thinking and preparing myself for the things, both the easy and the challenging, which must be released in this ritual. The burning of the leaves and the rededication of my chalice. That is the working that I'm going to do. Any spell work or anything additional to that I am called to do, of course I will be doing. That's a bit private, but what I wanted to share was the meat of what is in the middle of my ritual, to give someone an idea of what does one accomplish. I will be accomplishing release, and I will be re-welcoming water into my life for this turning of the wheel. So that's what I will be doing for my Mabon ritual. A bit of what happens in the middle to give someone an idea of what I expect out of the evening. I expect culmination from this week of preparing for release. That leaf burning ritual seems simple. It is very powerful, and it can be very difficult. Always it leaves me with great peace on the other side of release. And a re-welcoming, a re-knowing, a re-embracing of the power of water as I rededicate my chalice. So I hope, for those of you who have asked me to tell you when I can, what do I do in a seasonal rite or a lunar rite, that this has a little bit of something that might be of interest to you. The simpler the better, my friends. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I keep it basic and simple in this video, but I am glad to speak further about it if you have questions. I wish you blessings of Mabon. May you have a wonderful change in the season and shifting in your own personal tide. And I wish you mirth and reverence. Merry part.